Hi, and welcome to the Flute Talk Podcast, where we talk about all things flute. If you're looking for more tips or lessons from Amelie, please check out musigy.com for all the sheet music, transcriptions, albums, books, and flute lesson packages. That's musigy.com, MUSOGY.com. Also, if you're looking for posters, fingering charts, or merch, you can head over at our merch store at store.theflutechannel.com for all your flute needs. If you want to help us on a monthly basis, you can also consider joining us over at Patreon for as little as $2 a month. This helps us make more great content for you. Check the description for more info. Finally, if you're looking into buying a flute, please consider using the Flute Center of New York and use our code TFC for a 10-day trial in trying 3 flutes. Check the description for all the details. Now on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Flute Talk Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Amelie.
How's it going, Amelie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So yeah, we're back after 2 months, a little hiatus. Today we're just going to talk about what we did during the summer and answer your questions. And so Emily, you want to start with how the summer went and stuff like that? And we can also show some photos and stuff a little bit later while you talk over them and stuff like that and kind of
we went in France in a castle called Château Orquevaux. It's an artist residency. And we created for 2 weeks nonstop. It was amazing. So
you don't have to be as close to the microphone. You can be away from it so you can see your face.
Okay. So, And we recorded an album that's going to be released soonish. We'll see. We still have to work on the sound and everything. And we also made some videos there. And it was a great experience. We met with very amazing artists and very nice people. And it was amazing to have that experience.
That's so cool. Yeah, and then I would share the same exact sentiment basically. We just did a lot of collaborative stuff, and it was pretty cool. And what type of people? Can you run down some of the stuff that you found the most interesting when you were working with people, or when you were talking with people and seeing how they were because they were not just musicians. There were no other musicians except for us. There were other artists and other things.
Yeah, mostly there were visual artists and a poet, a writer, a dancer, and us. And so, honestly, I liked the exchange, but I liked also just, having dinner with people that we're talking about what they did during the day, and it's just inspiring to see other artists working, and you're like, oh, they're doing this, maybe I could do that. It's inspiring just to talk to them, but also I had some opportunities to collaborate a little bit with some of them, so that was fun, At literature night, I worked with a poet, and we wrote a poem together, and then I made some piano accompaniment to go with the poem, and we had fun doing that, and then participated a little bit in someone else's presentation, sang a little bit in that, and we did a concert, us two, Nicolas and me, and it was super cool to play in front of them in that amazing place. And what else? Yeah, and you made a sound installation, and I decorated it with a visual artist, so it was very inspiring, very fun, and to get out of your routine. It's good for the brain, I guess, especially after 2 years of being in one place, getting out of the routine and creating somewhere else and having nothing else to do but to create,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you find that that type of time and the space itself was something you needed? Did you realize in the end, I really need to have some time, 1, 2, 3 weeks, whatever, devoted to just working? And did that improve the work that you were doing, or did you improve your creative self and all that stuff because of that? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know if I need it, but it's very useful. I wish I can do that again, so I can be productive and, just think about that, not having to deal with the other things. I think you can create without it, but it's a very good experience, and I want to reproduce that again to make time where I'm in that mindset only.
The mindset of creativity, like the mindset
Yeah.
of having several goals or
Yeah.
whatever your achievement might be and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. But yeah, like this, I would say share the same sentiment. Basically, it's like going through and seeing other people create art is a pretty unique experience, considering we're also artists as well, but we're doing a different format, and seeing those types of people work, all day on their projects, their writings, their art, their photography, all those types of things, or videography and stuff. Like it's interesting to see how everybody digests that throughout the day, because like it's a lot of people kind of did it like almost like it's a 9 to 5, but just for art. Like some people worked all day all night and just had dinner and stuff like that too, but it was like a good mix, I thought. Some people really worked pretty hard and had they were all great. Like in my opinion, I thought they were all pretty great artists. Like they really tapped into their artwork and their writings and all that stuff pretty well. And I don't know, I find it kind of cool, like as opposed to like a regular classical music, what would you call it? Like a
Like
retreat,
a workshop or
workshop or a master class. I think, yeah, we call it basically master classes when we do a musician version of it, but I guess they do that in other things too. But
yeah. Oh yeah, they
associate
do
with
that too,
that.
but that was different. That was more of a residency to go and create,
Yeah.
and less to go and learn
Learn.
from someone else. And both have their goal. Both are useful.
Yeah.
But in our case, we really needed a residency more than anything else. I did a lot of workshops when I was younger. They were very beneficial for me. But yeah, that was amazing. I really liked it.
Yeah, and like now, like people shouldn't, I guess I would say, like, don't be discouraged even if you're in your young career or in your middle career or your end career. There were so many different people there of different ages and stuff like that, and different, not even ages, but different career points in their lives. And like I think all any type of position you are, whether you're beginning in your career or middle or whatever, like you could go to these places and create, which is basically like kind of what one thing I think classical music sort of doesn't go around on, basically, is like the creating part of it, like just to create, make things, like not just play old music or music written by somebody else, but also like encouraging us to also create and to make new music as well is cool too.
Yeah, you can compose,
It's
but
both.
you can also be creative in the way you play someone else's
Exactly.
music.
Yeah. If you have a project,
Creativity in both,
yeah. If you have like a project or whatever, like it gives you that time to really dive in and do that stuff.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, and it was our first artist residency, so like this was our first experience in that type of format, and I thought like, what a cool place to kind of like do your stuff, and also like there it was like all inclusive. You didn't have to worry about food, you didn't have to go grocery shopping, all those types of things. Things were all kind of there for you, so you can really use all your time, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And then like hopefully will be one of the videos we already released. The Flight of the Bumblebee, that was one of our short ones that we recorded there and prepared there and made all the images and stuff there.
And the sound.
And the sound too, yeah. There were some photos of that. If you're listening to the podcast, go and check out the recording of this in post after the live show and see the photos that we put in. Also on Instagram, I think we documented almost everything on our Instagram in our story thing called on our main page. You just type Orcavo. The one of the little circles there shows all the stuff that we've all of our stories from there and stuff like that. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? I had another question about like what are your thoughts of being creative in that way? I know you said a couple little thoughts, but are there other little thoughts that you like being creative in that type of environment? Were there things that sort of came out a lot, little themes in your creative process, or how you, or I don't know, just anything?
Well, Well, I kind of started composing some stuff when we were there because I don't know, I was seeing the visual artists creating their stuff from scratch, and I was like, that's cool, but yeah, but yeah, I didn't finish anything yet. But eventually, I'll sit down and try to finish that. That was something a bit new that I've done before, composing, but I never really, I guess, saw myself as a composer because we're so um, in our own little bubbles. You know, you're a performer or a composer, or but yeah. I liked how visual artists, they had this, a lot of them were trying different things all the time. Like one of our friend was like, oh, when I'm comfortable with that style, now I'm going to learn this style, you know? Like I like that type of mentality. I thought maybe I can get inspired by that. Yeah. Yeah. But there's so many ways, you know, to be creative. Like I worked on the Tenement Fantasies, and I wrote my own grace notes. Not grace notes, but you know, little when you do it the second time, you do ornaments. So I wrote my own, and I'm making my own edition of those for people so that they can play the same. You know, because in that Baroque music, you don't have the dynamics, you don't have slurs, you don't have a lot of stuff that I feel can be helpful for people. So might as well put it out, what I already worked on. So now I'm working on that. There's so much stuff you can do to be creative, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to try to jump to some questions. I know we're coming back after 2 months, and I think, it's good to kind of have, we have a whole plethora of questions that I had before about some flutists during the summer. I was reading some people's comments and stuff, and a lot of new things are coming up with people. Like, oh, I don't know my tangent I was just running off of. Anyways, let's answer questions. China Raf wants to know, I'm a clarinet player and started to study the flute. I'm having difficulty to have a good sound in low notes, and I'm losing my breath. How can I improve?
Okay. If you have difficulty with the low notes, it might be that you're blowing fast air. Because if you started on the second octave, like most methods for bend start on the second octave of the flute. Mm-hmm. So maybe you're just blowing a bit too fast, you know. We have a video about how to play low notes. You should go and check that out. Losing breath, you know, beginners, they often breathe in too much. You probably can blow for more notes than you think, you know, because when you start, sometimes people breathe between each note and then they get hyperventilated and then they feel like they don't have enough air or they feel lightheaded. It's because you're breathing too much. So try to breathe in, then play a couple of notes and then breathe in again. But we have videos about breathing as well. You should look at them. But those two things should help you. You know, when you want to play low notes, it's slower air, and you're supposed to aim in a different direction as well, like aim a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we have another question here about Macazena says, I'm considering picking up the piccolo. If I do play, it won't be outside, only in concert band and orchestra. But when I look for beginner piccolos, they're always in plastic or metal. Do you recommend any starter wooden piccolos? Well, starting wooden piccolos will be, frankly, expensive, right? So like starting at least $1,000 if you find something. But there's a lot of composite, right?
Yeah, there's a very good composite ones.
Composite sounds a lot. It's totally usable in an orchestra or in a concert band.
Is composite like wood mixed with plastic? What is composite exactly?
Composite can be a lot of different stuff. Well, not a lot, but I mean, like, it can be just a hard plastic. It could be basically like that. Like, it could be a lot of different things, but in the end, it's just, I would pick something like that if possible, because like in a band, you're playing a lot, you're practicing, doing stuff. Like if you have wood, you have to take care of it, make sure it's not in different types of temperatures,
Yeah,
and stuff
because
for splitting.
it can split.
With
Also, like I think I wouldn't take metal. I would go with composite. Personally, I prefer composite than metal. What do you think?
oh, if you're willing to if you have the budget and you're willing to take care of it properly, go wooden for sure. That's kind of how composers and stuff like that have written for the piccolo. Like it's for that type of sound, I guess. But like a lot of people can't differentiate in a hall between not plastic, but like composite. And
No, but
and
I was
wood.
talking like metal or composite. I would go composite.
Yeah, metal is really
Because also
different.
metal, the tube doesn't have the same diameter for your hands, and then it's I don't know. I feel it's less comfortable to play, and the sound is a bit more shrill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would go composite or wooden.
Exactly. Yeah, because
But I wouldn't stress too much about wooden. Like if you don't have the budget, composite does the job.
yeah,
I
it
think.
will do the job, and it'll have you'll worry a little less about taking care of it between different types of temperatures or taking it outside or anything like that. Like, yeah, because when you're dealing with wood, it's sort of like how clarinetists deal with it. You know, they have to take care of it. It's all wood. Like most clarinet players who buy there are budget friendly wooden clarinets out. You know, but it's just again you're worrying about splitting and all those types of things, and that can cause a big problem. And like metal, it'll just pierce through the orchestra or the concert band. Unless the conductor of the concert band really wants that sound, then that's a different thing. But it's usually used in marching band. Marching band, it's meant to be a piercing sound so that it goes, in a street or in a stadium and stuff like that, because they're usually not amplified. Yeah. What do we got here? Flute Channel Victor wants to know, for you to think ceramics?
Do you
Do you
think,
think?
they'll be able to make piccolos or flute out of
ceramic? The new Swatch watch is made out of ceramic. I don't know. You'll have to talk to makers about that. But like for me, to think about that, I think it'd be a pretty hard achievement, because ceramic can be hard. It can be really heavy. I mean.
Oh yeah.
So it could be a heavier flute because you'll need to make it stronger, the ceramic, and like if you drop it, I don't think repair shops necessarily will be prepared to repair ceramic. Like I don't know if they're, because I don't know a single ceramic instrument, so there can be a lot of issues. But if in a dream world where everything's perfect, it would be cool to see one like that. I know there are titanium flutes. I know there are
pretty tough on the arms, if it's super heavy.
Yeah, if it's super heavy
for the shoulders, like
it could add a couple pounds. Like because ceramic, it's not. If you make ceramic hollow and light, it's not going to be strong. You know what I mean? Like it's just a fact. You'll have to make it solid.
Yeah.
Ceramic but maybe there has been one or somebody's tried it, but I wouldn't know. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
cool.
Imaginative.
Yeah, pretty imaginative there for sure. Let's go back to the residency things. Phantom Flutist wants to know, how did you find the art residency? Like, how did we find them? Well, I think I found the artist residency through Instagram. Let's just say Instagram, because that's where this particular residency puts a lot of its effort into advertising. And that's Chateau Orquevaux. And there, we found it through Instagram, like in 2019.
Then we applied, and
then COVID happened, and then
they
we had them.
accepted us. And
then we had to wait 2 years-ish to go because of COVID. COVID closed down our opportunity in 2020. That's when we were supposed to go. And then we went now. Yeah, and then it opened up again, and we were able to move our booking date from 2020. They were very, very, what do you call that? Not reasonable, but very accommodating. Very accommodating to all the artists that were affected by COVID, and so we did that. So yeah, you can find a lot of information on different types of residencies online. And that's a super chat, I think. Who did that? I think so, or maybe not. Maybe it was a subscriber. I heard a noise. Oh, a subscriber. Okay.
Cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, we have a lot of oh, I was going to jump to that. Oh yeah, we have some new stuff during this show as well. Hopefully that answered your question. Well, you can jump back if you have a new, if you want to elaborate on your question, Phantom Flutist. But we have some new things. We want to integrate some super chat stuff. I know in the past we've had a lot of super chat people, and now we've also activated on all of our videos super thanks. So if you find videos helpful and you want to contribute and help us out that way, you can now through super thanks on regular videos. And then here during live shows, super chats, we're going to try to make a goal of around 200. I think could be a cool goal to have for each at the end of the month to kind of push to make the show longer or make the and help keep the show produced and stuff like that. That helps a lot. Goes a long way as well. What else? Do you have any other? Did you see any questions on the channel lately that you wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, or?
I don't know. I see someone who's asking how can I improve, and someone answered practice.
Yeah,
But I would say practice with a goal, and practice with you practice things that are challenging enough for you, but not so challenging that it's completely out of reach, and have a goal, be focused, and don't practice too much either at once because you don't want to learn mistakes. Make sure you're focused, you're rested. I think that's, make sure you listen to yourself, record yourself, film yourself, to hear how it sounds. Look at yourself in the mirror when you play to correct your posture. If you can have a good teacher, it can be helpful, or have a practice buddy sometimes, Yeah, that would be, have goals, Also sometimes, like inside goals, inside a practice, I want to get better at this. And also outside goals, like getting into that community band or preparing a concert for family and friends or for the church or for the whatever, wherever you can play, or for an open mic night, whatever is your place where you can set goals and get towards them. Yeah.
Debbie wants to know, what do you guys do? What do you guys like to do for fun or on free time? Oh, well, just like anybody, probably lots of different things. Going for walks, reading,
Yeah.
watching Netflix.
Yeah. Cuddling with our dog.
Yeah, and listening to podcasts and stuff like that. And traveling.
Yeah, going to the restaurant, cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning new things and.
Oh yeah, I love learning new things. Like there's so much. It's so easy now to learn things. With
I can learn
the
pretty
internet.
fast.
If I had that when I was a teenager, I think I would have loved it. Yeah, well, I love it now, but I mean, like, it's crazy. Like online resources for learning things. It's we're so lucky to have all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Elaine wants to know. Hopefully, I answered your question, Debbie. It's a very broad question, but those are a couple of things that we like to do for sure. Elaine wants to know, could you tell us more about the intermediate book? I'm interested to hear what it covers, vibrato, tonguing, etc. I'm at the intermediate level. I'm not sure if I have covered the things in the book. Thanks.
Okay, well, I think I talk about breathing, vibrato. Like, it covers a lot of stuff. It starts from, like, if you finish the first book, you have from low D to third octave D, And then you learn all the other fingerings. So if you know them already, it doesn't matter. Then you have, like, you learn Tafalen El Gobari J1, but gradually I put it through each lesson, I put 2 lines in each lesson so it's easier to digest and learn. Then you have all the major and minor scales, harmonic minor scales up to 4 sharps and 4 flats. And then you have, like, some sound exercises, breathing exercises, double tonguing exercises, a lot of studies, chromatic scales, some repertoire. Yeah, it's pretty much it, I think. And I think it brings you approximately to a level like fourth year, fifth year of flute, I would say, in most examination systems. You
Yeah.
know, if you want to see it like that. You know, first book brings you to second year maybe, and second book brings you to fourth year or something like that.
4 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And it depends on the system. And I think it's very complete, and it's the way I would teach. And instead of getting like one book for sound, one book for articulation, like everything's there and
And
kind of
you guide them. You guide them through it.
Yeah, and it's
with videos.
Like you don't have to be like, oh, what should I practice?
Yeah.
That can be anxiety prone, and like having too much choice. Sometimes we spend so much time thinking on what should I practice, and we don't practice during that time. So like it's I think it can be very useful.
Yeah.
Like I made it the way I think I would like to learn and the way I teach my students.
Exactly.
I'm very proud of it. I think it's a good method.
And even if you take your time with it, like say you do one lesson every 2 weeks or so, you know, you can go through the whole year with it almost, you know, like basically having, because there's 20 lessons or something like that, basically. So, yeah. And it brings you to it gives you, I think, honestly, a good foundation at the intermediate level.
Yeah,
so you can be able to pursue
some of
and have
these
lessons and stuff like that.
exercises, you can play them your whole life, you know. Some of these exercises, you can work on them forever. And I think you can work on it for a year, 2 years. Depends on the people, you know. It's like it depends on your rhythm, how much time you have to practice. That doesn't really matter. Just at least you know what to practice. And then when you're comfortable with one, it takes a whole month, it's fine. Then you go to the next. And
yeah, exactly.
You know, sometimes with some students, I'm in between 2 lessons for a few weeks, and then we move, because I use it too when I teach privately.
Yeah.
And
it can also reassure you to. It's also worth it, to be honest. If you don't know what level if you think you're at intermediate level, this book also kind of reaffirms all your intermediate skills. You know.
Yeah, it touches all the important basic things, because in reality, I feel like once you know the basics in flute, you always go back to the basics. Even when you're at a very high level, you always go back to the basics. That's what's the most important. One that's very well established.
Yeah.
The rest is just moving your fingers faster
or slower,
details,
and fluidity,
you know?
fluidity and stuff.
And then musicality and like little things, but the basics, like it's really what makes you. It's just how much you mastered the basics.
Yeah.
But they're always the same things. It's
throughout your whole entire hobbyist or professional career, you most likely will always go back to basics. You know. Yeah, I think it's important. So. You know, like I've seen that with a lot of other instrumentalists and other musicians. They always have to kind of go back to basics sometimes. Not like basics for 10 years, you know, basics
but
just...
I don't mean basics like going back to playing 3 notes. No. What I mean is there's some things that... There's not that many things. There's how you breathe, how you support, how you hold your instrument, how you vibrate, there's not that many things. And once you know those, you just have to remember and make sure you keep, you know... Yeah, because basic, maybe I wasn't clear what I meant by it, but I just mean like there's some things, and we touched them in that method.
Yeah. We'll go back to questions in a few minutes. We're about over the halfway point right now, but I just want to talk about a couple of the things that we have available for all of you guys. Like I said, Elaine, who was talking to us about the intermediate book, we have our website, musigy.com, which has our beginner and intermediate flute method, plus some sheet music, and soon we'll be adding more sheet music, and also albums as well will be coming out soon, hopefully before the holidays. And then all those things that are there, so musigy.com, that's where you find it, musogy.com, all of our stuff there. Also, the Flute Channel merch store, theflutechannel.com/store, I think, or store.theflutechannel.com. I think it's that one, the latter, this one. Where you can find all of our shirts and our fingering posters, which has been selling pretty well, and various other types of merch. And also, you have your flute studio. Yeah. Private flute studio. There are openings, so if you want to have flute lessons with Amelie, you can email us at info@theflutechannel.com, and you can inquire about rate and scheduling and all those things, and you tell us a little bit about your flute musical flute story about your life, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can see if we can fit you in for lessons. And what else? Anything else we're missing here? Oh, and our Patreon, of course, if you want to help us even more beyond Super Chat, which you can do here live every last Saturday or Sunday of the month. We just had to do it Saturday today, but usually it's the last Sunday of every month. You can help us here, but you can also help us out on, like I said, patreon.com/theflutechannel, where you can tip us, one amount every month, which helps us make more stuff.
Yeah,
produce more. And we want to produce more. We have a nice little buffer of videos coming your way, which is really cool. And I think that's the most ways you can help us, I think.
Yeah.
Those three. If we forgot anything, we'll mention them at the end of the show. I saw another good question here. Victor wants to know. Okay. Sorry. Victor was wondering if... will you have live music events where you are this fall? In the area, no, but we might be doing an East Coast. Things are in the works for an East Coast little sporadic tour, like in different cities. But no info yet about that yet. So, but expect something. We're going to have some things for sure.
If you have a flute association or
flute society or flute club
where you live, you can talk about inviting us to the people from that association, and
even if you even if you're not part of the flute club, flute association, or flute society in your state or in your region or in your country, reach out to them anyways. They answer to everybody, I assume. Like, it's a club, but you don't have to be in the club to communicate with them. You can definitely reach out. I know it can be intimidating to try to find those types of things and see, but email them and say, hey, excuse me. Say, hey, we want Amelie to be to come here, and they can email us, and we can set up an event. Because a lot of people email. What we've learned in the past is that a lot of flutists email all those clubs all the time, and there's a whole slew of flutists that want to do those things. And so the only way to get people's attentions is by people like you emailing those societies to see the demand, and because our emails get lost, or they already are booked for 1 or 2 years in advance, and so it's a bit troublesome.
But, and don't be intimidated. They always want new members. They need members for their activities. So it can be a cool way to share your passion of the flute with people near you. It's cool. So if that can be a way to have events too. If we're invited in those things, well, we can do it this way. To reach more flutists. Yeah.
Teapot wants to know, I've been playing flute for a few years now, but my embouchure has been always been too wide, making my playing sound airy. It also makes tonguing really hard, which is why I don't really do it. Do you know how I could fix that problem? Wide embouchure.
Maybe think, make sure you close the two sides of your mouth, that it's like, there's no air going through the sides. There's only a small opening in the middle. You can also imagine there's only a straw going inside the hole, or maybe try playing the piccolo if you have the chance, because you'll have to lower the hole to make a sound, and that might help with having a more focused sound on the flute. Maybe also it's the way you have your mouth. Maybe you're smiling, and then if you're smiling, it might be difficult to close the sides of your mouth. So bring down the embouchure. We have videos about how to change your embouchure, how to get rid of the air in your sound, all those things. But practice in front of a mirror. Because even though you know what you're doing, if you don't see it, it's very difficult without the retroaction of the image, to see if the muscles you're moving are really working. So, I would say do that. Practice at least your sound exercises in front of the mirror and focus on that. Yeah. I think there was another one.
Yeah, I saw a question about the flute girl. She wants to know, sometimes when I play in marching band, My sound bounces a bit, especially on backwards marching. What can I do to have less bounce in my sound? Well, it depends. I've done a lot of marching band, like a lot. So practicing roll stepping if your band does that. If they don't, maybe integrating it for yourself so you can be more smoother.
What's roll stepping?
Roll stepping is rolling with your heel. Usually, it's a marching term lingo. Most marching bands do, but it's about practicing that, practicing your roll step when you're not in band, practicing that for a little while so you can have that habit of marching like that. If you practice your heel toe and all those types of those are terms that they know those things. Yeah. So you're not using your whole leg to march. You're really using a lot of foot and ankle, and you're isolating all that stuff to be smoother.
Like you're floating a little bit, or you're sliding more than marching. Like
yeah.
So you don't get the bounciness of going boom, boom.
It's not necessarily a slide. It's just basically a smooth motion. Because sliding is it gives that sensation of falling. So like
I think I would be good at that. I don't make noise when I walk. I make people. I scare people every week. Someone doesn't hear me coming and goes ah.
Yeah, but it's more. It's not even a matter of being silent. It's a matter of the aesthetic of staying still while still moving. You know,
but is it such a big deal if the sound bounces a little bit on one flute? There's so many people playing in marching band at once. I'm just asking.
Oh no, I would say because most of the time you're playing piccolo, so if you're bouncing around piccolo, it's going to be more wobbly and stuff, and like
if everyone does that, it's going to affect the sound
a little bit, but also like and also again, it's the aesthetic. If everybody is if everyone is marching in heel toe and marching smoothly, and one person isn't, it looks very weird.
Oh, okay.
So you want to try to match that, but I mean, like if everybody's moving around, or like you said, you're moving around and it's causing noise in your playing, you know, again, smooth practice by yourself while marching at home or something, so you can kind of be more aware of what you're doing, because in marching band you have a lot of things going on. You have your peripheral vision, so you can stay in line with your line in the band group and stuff like that. You have a lot of things going on, so maybe practicing that just like you would be practicing the flute at home. It'll help develop and isolate
that muscle memory.
The muscle memory of all those things, yeah. And then you have less things to worry about. Then you're worried about more about other things. So hopefully that helps. But that's how I did it. I had that same problem bouncing around, and that happened. You know, first couple weeks, a couple new people would come in, and they all had that same problem, bouncing around and stuff, and basically finding some practice time at home to march around your room or whatever, and really try to isolate that movement.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's Monte Alegre Luis. When I play for a long period of time, I got injured on my left shoulder. Any suggestion? Yeah. It's probably that you're playing in one line, and my God, my words are not coming this morning. Your shoulder is extending a little bit too much, and you're stretching the muscles on your shoulder. So turn your head to the left a little bit, and then bring your flute to yourself. And then the flute is a little bit more in front of your body, you know? And that will help your left shoulder. Watch, we have a couple of videos about posture. There's one very old video about posture where I explain in great detail. And again, look at yourself in the mirror when you do that. You can also use the wall. You go your back against the wall, and then with your head as well. And then you turn your head slightly to the left, bring your flute to yourself. And that can really help you to feel that posture that will help with not injuring yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much...
Also, if it gets too injured, like go maybe... see a chiropractor, see stuff like that, kind of put the physiotherapist, and also like, playing a long period of time. I'm not a big. I know it's going to cause a lot of, we could do a whole entire video about it. Like, you can make a whole entire conference about that. Like, practicing long does not benefit anybody. I'm sorry. That's my hard opinion about it. I think we need breaks. Our brain works in a very, very specific way. And there's a lot of similarities for everybody, and I think we should follow those, and we don't, and that's how injuries happen. 45
to 50 minutes, you should take a break for 10-15 minutes, and you shouldn't do more than 3 hours a day, I think, because like It's a lot for the body, and also sometimes we think of stretching, but reinforcing your muscles can be very helpful too. I know that I've had a lot of problems with my neck and shoulders, and I was stretching, and I was even overstretching. And since I started to do more muscle development, not that much, just I have way less pain, you know? So, yeah, exercise as well. Go see a physiotherapist if you need to and take breaks. But for the posture, if it's the left shoulder, I think it's probably that you're stretching your arm.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, we could it would be cool to make a whole video, a little series about that. Should you be practicing long? You know, should you be practicing
Well,
long
you
period
need a
of times and
certain
stuff like
amount
that?
of time to
And like,
develop the,
and like,
it's a
but
balancing act.
yeah, because I wonder if there's studies about that, about recall, and like, let's say you take a musician for 1 week at a specific level, like a beginner level, intermediate level, or advanced level student, that all had generally the same amount of time of they all had the same general amount of practice time. Like, how much is needed? I don't know. Like, I wonder if there's anything like
It's
at
very
all.
difficult to do a study like that. You would need a lot of people because there's people with more ease than others. Like there's
Yeah, you'd have
natural
to
talents,
isolate
there's
those people. Like, you could do it in different groupings and see if there's similarities. You know what I mean? Like, you take a couple professionals, a couple middle, a couple beginners, and then overlap that data on top of each other if there's any correlation.
I
That'd be
think
super
there
interesting.
has been some studies, and
I'd like to make a video about that
you
eventually.
need breaks, like even like just studies, not even for music, but for learning.
Yeah.
There's been studies that show that you do need breaks.
Yeah.
You do need, for recall, for like, you can't focus very efficiently for 5 hours with no stop. Like, no way.
And it depends
you
on
can't
the
be super focused for, no.
Yeah, and it depends on the
yeah.
type of learning, like, as well too. Maybe reading a book warrants different types of things in your brain to learn as opposed to music. So maybe you can do an hour more of reading, or maybe you can do an hour more of music, but an hour less of reading because of how you learn in particular, the particular person, you know, like, it's not all equal. I believe in that. I believe that there's different types of like abilities to absorb.
On the person too.
Yeah, and it depends on the person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. But I personally, yeah, that's a big no-no. You can get hurt. I hear a lot of stories, even more now, about people practicing long periods and then getting injured. So take care of yourself, you know. Take care of yourself first. I wonder what where that whole thing came from, you know, like, you got to practice even before the 40-hour thing that like Two-Set did and stuff like that. Like, people practiced too much and it was a big problem. I wonder where that is. Maybe is it like, oh, if I don't practice, I'm going to fall behind type of mentality, or is it? I wonder where that comes from. That whole entire like practice until you're tired or whatever type of thing. I wonder where that comes from. Where that perpetrated, as opposed to like more of like taking breaks. Because I never was told that and I knew people.
But like,
their teachers didn't say take a break, just practice.
But like, just to be clear, if you just take breaks and you don't practice,
Yes.
you're not going to get good either.
Exactly.
Like, there's no magic. Oh, I'm going to practice 15 minutes a day. Well,
No,
you're going to
no.
learn
15 minutes worth.
15 minutes worth. Like,
Yeah.
like, you have to practice. And it depends on the instrument. Some instrumentalists practice more, like pianists practice more than singers, because a singer can't sing for 8 hours a day, a pianist can. And like, there's this whole, depends, like, brass instruments practice less than flutists, because there's the whole physical aspect of it as well. Like, there's also a logic into, if you work more, you're gonna get better. It's just, you have to make sure you're not burning out or hurting your body while doing it. You have to listen to your body, make sure you're respecting yourself in that as well, you know. But it's like that in everything. Like, you have a little kid and he can't do something, and we say try harder. Like, sometimes it's not that's not where the problem lies, but we tend to say that for everything, as if that was, like, I know that in my flute learning, sometimes I practiced, and then nothing would really get better. Then I got a very good teacher who explained things properly to me, and in 30 minutes I got better than in hours and hours of practice, because it clicked and I understood. So Yeah, it's a whole. It's all right and wrong at the same time. You know what I mean? Like there's.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I guess.
there's a lot of things that come into account when it comes to learning.
We'll try one more question, one final question, and then we'll call it a day for this month.
Yeah.
We're slowly rolling out. We're gonna be back next last Sunday of October to do one of these again, and then hopefully we'll also be, which will be, I think, the 31st, maybe. No, it's gonna be the 30th. So we'll be back here on the 30th,
One
and
day
we'll
before
release
Halloween.
one day before Halloween, and we'll also I think we have about 1 or 2 videos to release in October, which is cool. One's going to be about the flip head joint that we got from the maker. I forget his name. Oh my goodness. But it's a head joint that makes your flute forward looking. You know, like looks like make it look like a saxophone clarinet.
And it's a different embouchure.
And different embouchure.
Yeah. It's more like a recorder embouchure.
It's more like a recorder embouchure. So we're gonna put that video.
Surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then another video, maybe a music video, and then we'll talk about more things that are coming up, including your album, which will be coming out, the Telemon 12 Fantasias. That's going to be rolling out with also your own edition of sheet music for it, which will all be sold over on musicg.com. That's where you can support us. We're going to be just having the album there for the first couple months, so just so that you can support us directly, and anything you buy and stuff like that goes directly to us. There are very little to no fees, as opposed to Spotify and all those other avenues, which take a lot of our revenue share, some of them over 80 and 90%. So because this is public domain, we're going to release it and do it our way through our service, so you can help us out directly. And if you haven't helped us out, that would be a great way to do it when we release that album and stuff like that. It helps us out tremendously. Last question. Let's see here. Phantom Flutist wants to know, would you ever consider doing more videos on advanced techniques on the flute? For example, half-tone, quarter tones, maybe even things on Ava Kigma flute system. Well, we don't have an Ava Kigma flute, so we wouldn't be able to make videos about it really, because those extended techniques, from what I've researched a long time ago, rely on that type of flute, because you can only do so much on a regular open hold flute, as in terms of microtones and all those things like that. And I don't know how you feel about that, but it's a bit super niche.
Yeah, I don't know how many people would be interested in that, but maybe eventually we might do some stuff about that.
Yeah, eventually, but there's other people out there in the world that could.
There are resources.
There are resources that can do it. Yeah, there are resources,
yeah.
books, videos, other teachers who devoted their whole life to that, so they know that system quite well.
Yeah, but you can do quarter tones on the flute. There are fingerings.
Yep, there are some, but it's not a full. It's not a full system. And I think Kigma, it's closer.
Yeah, of course. But well, I've played a lot of contemporary music. I'm gonna still play in a contemporary music.
That's right, with your regular flute.
But that could be interesting to learn a little bit about multiphonics and things like that. That can be a cool idea. Yeah. Maybe we'll see. It's a good idea. There's some
it's
cool
possible
things that can be said about. The flute is a very good instrument for that type of music. There's a lot that you can do.
Yeah.
Like multiphonics and some cool sounds when you don't close certain holes and you go it can sound pretty cool. You can sing in your flute. There's so much cool stuff
singing,
you can do.
Yeah.
That could be a cool.
You can make it a percussive instrument. You can make it all types of stuff like that. So it's limitless. I know there's 1 or 2 videos online of a guy who did a pretty good primer. I think it's about 40 minutes worth of music of him running through, I think, I forget what the book's called, but it has all the fingerings to do microtonal scales and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's a thick book. I can't remember.
It's not Robert Dick or Pierre Varto, because they have a lot of those books.
I think it's a French guy
Pierre
that did.
Varto, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So there's a lot of resources, like you said, about that.
Good about all the extended techniques.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's everything. If you guys found this video helpful, or this podcast helpful rather, or the show, there's going to be a super thanks button. You can pledge whatever you like to thank us, and that goes directly to us. And you can do that on all of our videos over on YouTube. And if you want to help us out more, go to patreon.com to help us out more on a monthly basis. Patreon.com/the flute channel. And all of our other stuff is in the description below as well. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, everybody, so much for a great podcast. And if you have any questions as well, diehard questions, write them down in the comment section below. Also, you can leave us a voicemail. That was one thing that we've... it's still up and going at anchor.fm/flute, where you can download the Anchor app and leave us a voicemail. And we can answer a live voicemail on the show next month. So go to Anchor app on any of your app store of choice and download that, and then find us at anchor.fm/flute, and there you can leave a voicemail for us on the app. I think that's everything.
Cool.
Well, thanks everybody so much.
See you next month.
See ya.
Thanks for listening.